Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today, what you could have taken, and how, we're going to be trading tomorrow. So, if you guys watched my last video, I told you guys that likely, I was favoring us to flip bullish. So, if we go to this 30-minute chart here, we ended up flipping bullish today. The 10 went above the 50, but we did still have a quite bit of a choppy day. Price action wasn't the best, and honestly, the system kept us out of most of it. I'll show you guys the entries that we got today, but yeah, like I said in the last video, I was favoring us to, flip bullish because of this 4-hour chart right here. This 4-hour chart on the put side was going negative, 10's going below the 50 SMA, and like I said, that is a pretty big deal. And with us flipping bullish, I do think we are going to continue this move up. So if we go to the 30-minute here, like I said, the 10 went above the 50 here on the call side today, and that flipped the market bullish. And what do we do when that happens? We focus on, longs, because the market flipped bullish. We have trend. So that's when we have trend in the market. And you can see we got this cross. Oh my God. We got this cross right off of open. Only problem was that there's a massive gap between where price was and where the SMAs were. The SMAs were all the way back down here at like 0.20 to 0.30, and these contracts ended up opening up around $1 a contract. So, this initial cross at off open is not something I would take, and because a lot of times we do get that pullback and then you get the entry, but we just never got that today. And is what it is. We did get this pullback to the 10, which ended up paying a good amount of points. If you bought this dip right here, this is a dip you could have bought in, because the market technically wasn't bullish, but with how we looked on the 30-minute, I mean, we were bound to get that cross unless the market slammed down super hard, which was unlikely. But yeah, with how we looked on the 30-minute chart, market still wasn't bullish yet at the time. We didn't flip bullish until a little late in the afternoon or late in the morning, because the SMAs had to catch up with price, and we eventually got that cross, I think at like 11:30, something like that. But you could have bought this 10 dip right here. It gave a solid entry. It pretty much gave the bottom ticked it right here off of the 10, and this rode up for like 60 to 70 points. So that was the best opportunity today for a trade, or that's what gave the most points. And then rest of the day, we were just waiting on the 50 dip, and we finally got it down in here. We finally tapped the 50 at 1240. We ended up bouncing all the way up here. So we went from 1.6 to 1.99. It didn't really give much of a move. On futures on NQ, I think this gave probably 35 to 40 points maximum on that move, and we never got like the retest of the 10 SMA. And we eventually came back down and broke below the 50. But by the time we did break below, you were still above your entry point, and you probably would have broke even on this trade. So it wasn't a losing trade, it was just a break even trade. So can't really complain with that. I'd much rather get out for like small profit, or pretty much around break even, versus us just slamming through the 50 and taking like a 30 to 40 point loss. So those are the setups that you could have taken today. There was really nothing else that I would have taken. Maybe these reclaims right here, we end up getting back above the 10, and we saw it move up. Maybe try and find an entry near that 10 SMA for a low risk entry. Same right here, closed below the 10, then we went a little bit higher. But the market was still a bit choppy today, which was unfortunate, because we did get a big overnight move. Hopefully tomorrow is better, but we ended up right here crossing negative on the call side, and this is not a trade to take, because we know the market's trending on the call side. You do not take a negative cross on calls. It just wouldn't make sense. Why would you go against the main trend on the higher time frame? What you would wait for is a recross of the SMAs, and we end up crossing here towards the end of the day. But this is so late in the day that I wouldn't even bother touching this. It just wouldn't make sense to take this trade because of the theta. So after this 50 dip, that was pretty much it for the day. You could have played this 10 dip right here, 50 dip. Those were the entries. Anything else really wouldn't take. So ending the day pretty much small green day for me, because I did try this. I did play this 10 dip right here. I did get some points out of it. I wasn't sized super heavy or anything, but I had more size on this this 50 dip down in here, because it's a really good setup to take, and came out with some small green on it, but it really wasn't much. So just got to move on the next day. That's a good thing with the system. You don't need to stick around the entire day. You kind of know when the market's going to give you a setup. So if you just look at the chart, most of the time you'll have an idea of when a trade's going to develop. You just have to look at it for a little bit, and then once we went negative on this chart, I mean, there really wasn't another setup to take. I didn't think the setup was going to come if we did recross. It just took way too long to recross towards the end of the day. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we did today. Very simple day. Wasn't the greatest because of the price action, but, still was able to come out green. But when we look on the Friday contracts, like I said, we are bullish. So what does that mean for tomorrow? That means we focus on the bull side. So 0-day cross on calls, 50 dip on calls, possibly like a rejection at the 50 on puts if that came into play. If puts for some reason cross tomorrow, I'm not taking it because we know the market is bullish and there's not much of a gap between where price is and the 50 SMA. So if puts did cross, we'll probably be right at the 50. Wait for the negative cross on puts to go long. That's really my main focus tomorrow is the long side. There's no reason to take any shorts. If you look on the higher time frames now, look at the hourly got a nice cross to it. Last resistance pretty much is this 2 hour, which we are starting to break above and possibly cross over. I think I had the wrong contracts actually. Are these supposed to be the 575s? The charts are pretty much identical, but I'm pretty sure it is the 575s. I might have the wrong ones pulled up here, but yeah, I mean, it's a simple game plan going into tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's the 575s though. I thought we had the 575. Yeah, we had the 575s today. So I mean, the chart's pretty much identical. We're right at the 2 hour 50 right now on the 575s. So we'll have to see if we could break that resistance. I mean, those higher time frames like that aren't going to stray me away from taking a trade intraday. So yeah, market's bullish. Focus is going to be on the bull side. It's pretty simple. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to follow along with the trades we take throughout the day, Discord down below. Place to learn, place to make some money. So yeah, that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.